Hey there, welcome to my channel. This is Programming with Remy. How are you doing? How's been your week? I hope you are doing fine. Okay, so today we are going to be going to the second section of HTML links. We have looked at the first links in the first sessions. So today we are going to be looking at another aspect of HTML link, and today we are going to be looking at directory structure, and you're going to understand what that is very soon. Okay, so in previous class we learned that links are used for connecting one web resource to another. Also, we have learned that links are created with the anchor tag. Also, we learned that in the last class that the href, which means hypertext reference attribute, describes the location of the web resource material. And also we looked at links in between pages on the same website and links to other websites. So if you have not watched the video, you can just pause this video and go to that video and watch it. Alright, so today, before we go further, in the previous class we gave you a class project to create a post in your link. So I will try to do that now. So this is I'll open my Visual Studio Code now. Before we go further, this a setting I want us to apply in our Visual Studio Code. Now, if you observed, if I come to this section of my code, you observe that I have a paragraph and the content in the paragraph is taking a whole line, right? So I have to use this bar to move to this section. But there's a setting in the Visual Studio Code called wrap, which I can use to make my work more responsive to the dimension or the size of my window. So what I will do is I'll come to my settings, and for my settings you can use the shortcode Ctrl plus and comma, or just click on settings. Then from the settings, click on typed wrap. Okay, once you type wrap, come to editor word wrap and put that on. Okay, and once you do that, it will automatically save your project. Now let's observe the difference now. So if I go to my blog now, you observe that I can see all the content, right? And if I minimize my Visual Studio Code, you can see that it will respond to the dimension of my Windows screen, right? So that's an example. That's one thing you should note about Visual Studio Code. Alright, so now the assignments I was given last class was that we should use this first heading, right? We should make this a link that once a user click on it, it will go to a particular, to read the full blog of this particular post, right? So the first thing we need to do is we need to create the post, right? So I'll come to my Explorer file. This is the file for my project, so I'll create a new file and I'll call this file posts.html. Alright, save this file. Now there's a mistake. Alright, let me name it. Alright, post.html. Alright, so once I save this post, remember we use our boilerplate, right? So let's pick a boilerplate. Okay, alright, okay, let's paste it at boilerplate. So we can call this let's go to the blog, let's just call it survey show, just a snippet from the blog heading. Okay, so I'll paste the snippets here. Alright, so I have a title and I have a body, so then put the heading. Okay, so come to blog and I will copy the heading, go back to posts, then paste the heading. So I have the heading for my blog. Now I need other content on my blog, so I'll copy the paragraph, right? So I've copied the paragraph now. Good. Alright, now so I have the paragraph copied. Okay, so now this can't be the totality of a post, right? So it needs more content. So what I'll do is that I have a dummy text here, so I'll copy this dummy text to serve as the other part of the post, right? So, and I've already put it the opening paragraph and the closing paragraph. So what I will do, I'll just Ctrl copy, then paste it here. All right, so that I've done that. Okay, so now I also have to copy the address tag, right, and pre-formatted tags that we used earlier, then paste it here. Okay, all right, so now save. So I have my blog, my post already done, so I can preview this now. Go to my open with live server. So now what I want to do, I want to make my screen so that you can see the changes as it's been done. All right, so now can you see that this is my post, right? But there's no way I could link this. I've not linked this with the blog, right? So this is just a blog. So what I will do is that I'll come to my blog, then I want to highlight this, right, to make this to become a link, so that once a user click on this heading, it takes them to this post, right? So what I will do is that inside my heading 2, I'll put before my heading 2, I'll put an anchor tag and href. That's a particular value, right? Then close it. So I'll copy the heading and then I'll paste it here. All right, so that's good. So sorry, I want to cut the heading, right? Okay, cut and then paste here. All right, so I have this as a link now, but the resource, the URL will be to post, right? So I'll put post.html. all right, save now. So this is a post now. So I could also put another link just down below here. So I can put another link and put this. I can say href, right? I can also call this post.html. all right, and then I put, let me just put continue reading. So it's a more informative way to tell my reader, my web user, that okay, just click on this particular link to continue reading the post, right? So control save. All right, now I also want to come to my post so that once a user come here, it can go back to my main blog page, right? So you can just put a link also, href, and the value will be blog.html, right? And then I can put return to blog page. Okay, all right, so I will save this. So let's observe the changes. So let me come to my browser. All right, so I have my page, my blog, right? So can you see that survey shows Netflix is now seen as a link, right? So, and also this another link, right? So if a user click on survey shows, it will take them to the post. So now that's the post that I've just created now, and I can also return to the blog page from here. Return to the blog page. All right, so that's the assignment. So if you were not able to get it in the class, so just try to pause this video and try it out again and be creative with what you are doing. All right, so now let me go back to my slide. Okay, so now today we're going to be looking at directory structure, and before we go to directory structure, I want us to examine the examples that we did in last class. All right, so the first example we did was we created links to other pages on the same site. So if you remember, we used from our index, we created the list, right? And we made all our lists, we made them, convert them to links, right? We added links to them, right? So one of the things I want to do is that for a proper way, so our code will be more detailed and follow, so that we can able to edit it well, I want us to put the link, the list of items. I want us to put the list outside the parentheses. So what we do is that we copy this list here and paste it here. So I want the link to be outside, so I'll copy here, cut, and then paste it. All right, so this is a more detailed way of how we can represent our link. So in case you want to style our links in further classes, so it will be done in a proper way. So what I will just do, I will delete this and then copy and make duplicates for other pages, right? Okay, so then I will add blog, right? Okay, then I will add the about, contact, okay, and then the shop, right? Okay, so we're still going to make changes to this today, but for this beginning of this class, so I just want us to make this correction. Okay, and I have the closing on other list tag, right? Okay, so save. So what I will do is that I will so I'll copy this. Okay, go back to my about us. I want to remove this and then paste it here. Go to my blog. Okay, copy this and then paste. Okay, I've done that. Let me do it for my contact us also. Paste. All right, shop. Okay, all right, so we have been able to do that right now, right? So okay, so let's go back to our slide. So from the first example, we have a list, right? But if you observed, we said the href, which is the hypertext reference, is the particular part of our anchor tag that reference where the link we go to, right? So we said we have two type of links now. We have what we call relative URL and absolute URL. So links, when you are looking at links to other pages on the same site, right? So now if you observed, home, shop, about us, they are on the same website, right? They are on the same folder, if I can use that word, right? So we have the home, the shop, the blog, the about us, the contact us, they are on the same website, right? So we said while the URL is used when the website is on your computer, this does not involve the use of domain name or hosting. So that's if you look at the URL, is just index.html. And I'll explain that if I go back to my Visual Studio Code. You observe that in my class project here, I have about us, blog, contact us, index. I have them in the same folder, right? In the same directory levels. So we're still going to explain that. So you can see if I highlight it, you can see I can see where it's particular is on my document, class project, and about us. So this is an example of a relative URL. So we call it relative URL. So another URL that we have is, if you look at another example, we created links to other websites. From one of our blog heading, we added a link to go to Netflix, if you can remember in the last video. So when you link to a different website, the value of the href attributes will be the full web address for the site, which is known as absolute URL. So that's the difference. So we have the absolute URL and we have the relative URL, and this is the link that we created in last class. So you can see that it has all the full part, right? But if the link is on our website, right, we don't need to put the full using the domain name or the hosting. Just add the pathway, which you're going to learn how to do today. So that's example of absolute URL. So let's just look a bit more into what URL is. So every website or web resource material, either a PDF, a image, a song you copied online, has a unique URL, and URL stands for Uniform Resource Locator. So if you observe this URL here, which is to netflix.com, right? Now we see have different parts of this link highlighted. So this part HTTPS refers to as the protocol, and we have the domain name. We have also what we call the path. So now the protocol is more of like a set of commands or rules for my for communication with my server. Remember when we looked at server, we said your server is 24/7 computer that is running, that is hosting our website, right? So we looked at protocol, and we said HTTP stands for Hypertext Transfer Protocol. And if you are frequent with observing the URL, we observe that there's also one called HTTPS, which means Hypertext Transfer Protocol Secured. And the HTTPS is different from the HTTP in the sense that HTTPS is secured with a socket layer. There's a link down below if you want to know more about protocol, so that you can just research more and understand more about protocol. And we have a domain name now, and if you observed, we have NG, which is a part right in this particular domain, showing us that it's showing us and this NG stands for Nigeria now. So that means that this Netflix account is basically going to show us the portion of Netflix that is for Nigeria, right? So that's an example of URL. So now, to understand more about URL and directory structure, another word for directories can be called folders. So it's more of how to structure our folder. So that means, for example, let's say you are building a website and you are building websites from your computer using localhost or using your computer for training. For example, what we are doing from the start of this class, we have been using our computer. Our website is not on a live web hosting service right yet, but we're still going to learn how to do that. But for the process of this class, we're using our computer as our server, right? Because it's the one hosting our websites, right? So we want to know how to structure our folder very well. All right, so and to understand our structure is a bit clear to understand. So if you are building a website with large files, it is a good idea to place each page for each different section into a new file. So let's say, for example, I have a very large website. I'm building maybe an e-commerce website now that has different aspects. We have the shop, we have the blog, we have the product. So it's very good to organize my files very well so that the proper parts can be easily allocated to each particular portion of the close. So we said directive URL, when you are linking to a page on your website, you don't need to specify the domain name. You can use a shorthand method to tell the browser where the page is in relation to the current page. So that's why if you see the example here, you observe that the link that we have the index, their blog. So we use this just what we call relative URL, right? So that's an example of relative URL. So in structuring our folders, which is called directory structure, right, there are three important things that we need to pay attention to. We need to pay attention to the structure, we need to pay attention to the relationship, and home page or sub home page. So let's just understand a bit of structuring, right? So I have this illustration here, so how to understand structure, right? So folders on the website are sometimes refers to as directory. So we have an illustration of a family tree, right? So and you are from a family, right? You did not come from the sky. So illustration of a family tree, that's just a joke. So illustration of a family tree structure to understand file directory. So I have this tree, family tree. You observe, just let me explain this now. So we can call the first family, we can call the first generation, right? We can call the second generation, and we can call this the third generation. So this family gave birth to this family and this family, while this family gave birth to this family and this family gave birth to this family, right? So this is a structure, right? And there's a relationship between the three generations, right? So if you observed from the third generation to the fourth generation, now the third generation will see the first generation as grandparents, right? While the fourth generation will see the third generation as grandchild, right? And the first generation will see the second generation as children, right? While the second generation will see the fourth generation as parents, right? So that's from to, right? From to. So it's important that our page, our file is structured. Now if you go back to our Visual Studio Code, now observe our code, you observe that our code line is more structured in form of also directories too. Now let me explain what I mean by that. Now if you observed, we have the first tag here, which is doc type Abby, and this doc type telling us the HTML it is, that is the version of the HTML, right? Now if you observed, it's on the same level with the HTML opening tag and the HTML closing tag, so we can refer to them as the parents, right? And we have the head, opening head and the closing head, right? And we have the body and we have the closing tag for the body too. Now we can call this, right, the children of the HTML tag, right? Now inside the HTML tag also we have a title tag, right? So we can call this heading, right, you can call it the parent of the title tag, we can call it its children, right? Now in the body too we have the URL, opening URL and the closing URL, and inside the URL too we can call this list, we can call them children of the on ordered list, right? So now if you want to examine the relationship between this list and the heading, right, so we can say this is from year to year, we can say from the list to the heading. The list could see this heading as what, can see it as what, as grandparents, right? While this will see, the head will see the list as what, as grandchildren, right? So that's an example of land. One of the ways we could just put our list and put them we could just put our list and adjust them to this side. It just, our code will still run properly, but let me just do an example so that you see what I'm saying. Our code will still run properly if I control save and go to my, okay, this is the shop, so let me just open live server. Okay, our code will still run normally. Okay, there's, because I've not changed the name here, that's why it's showing I hope you understand that. So but for reference purposes and for us to be detailed, to show where one is coming from, where one is going, is important for our code to be more in a format showing which relationship lies between the tags and their parentheses, their grandchild, their grandchild. So that's one of the family tree relationship that I use for file folder. So I hope you understand that. All right, so now let's go back to our slide. So that's an example of file folder. So what we want to do now is that we want to apply this directory structure to our class project that we have been working on, right? So understand how directory structure works. Now I'll just if you observe my next slide, now we have application of directory structure for our websites, right? Now if you observed, we have this file, and this particular icon here is telling me that this particular icon is the folder, right? And this also represents a file. Now these arrows is telling me that this particular folder is open, so that means this is open and I can see all the folders, subfolders and the sub files inside is, right? Now if you observed, so inside Renfix Tech we have the subfolder called images, blog, contact us, about, shop, right? Now if you observed also, I have this index in the same level with this index file, with the same level with the subfolder which represents for my image. Now each section of our page of our website is put in a separate folder. So let's take for instance, I have images on my website, so all of my images I put them in a separate folder, right? The blog is in a folder, right? Contact is in a folder, about is a folder, shop is a folder, and I also have a product in a folder, right? So we can reference this as a top level folder, and it's also known as a root folder. So that means that, now let me do something now. So Renfix Tech. So what I want to do is I want to come to our file manager. Now we named our project class project, right? So what I will do is that I want to rename this now to Renfix Tech, right? Okay, because it's open, let me close this. Okay, so I've renamed this to Renfix Tech now. So now I want to open my Visual Studio Code again. Okay, so I want to name that root folder Okay, so let me open a folder. Okay, so let me open it. Let me reopen the folder. Okay. Alright, so I've reopened the folder now. So my folder is now called Renfix Tech, right? Which is in line with my directory that I want to apply now. So once you come to Renfix Tech now, let me just do it to understand parts now. If I go back to my file manager and I click on here, you can see that I have users and documents Renfix Tech, right? If I copy this now and come to my browser, you observe what I will do to display. Right, so this is the parts, this is the directory, this is the parent directory, right, for my website. Right now I can see that I have my about us, HTML, contact us, index, post, and shop page. But now this is not a well structured directory structure. This is not a well structured way I could represent my website, right? I could represent my website in a more structured way, in a more advanced way, so I show that I know what I am doing. Alright, so if I come back to my illustration here, so I have the images in a particular folder. I have the blog, contact us, about us, shop, and products, right? So now if you observe, the first thing you see that I have the index.html. so this index.html can be referred as the main home page. So that means that once I come to click on renfix.com as a path and slash index, that's /, it will open first the first home page, and this is one of the ways to secure our website. So the main home page, so when the main home page is referred to as index.html, right? Now when a web server wants to try to access Renfix Tech, the first thing the web server does is that it returns the first page, the first HTML page here, which is the index.html, before it can go to any other page. So this is one of the ways to secure our website. So once we look at security in our subsequent video, we will understand that in a more better way. So we can also reference it as the main home page, and in a sub directory folders we could reference this as like a sub, right? A sub home page under blog, right? So this can refer to this as the blog home page. You can refer to it as the contact us home page. We can refer to this as the about us home page. We can refer to this as a shop home page. Now one other thing that we need to look at is that we need to look at relationship between these folders, right? So we have, for example, folders, we have documents or web or the folders that are on the same level, right? So for example, now if you observe, in my about us page, I created two HTML files. We have index.html and review.html, right? So now from this particular portion, now we observe that they are on the same folder, right? They are on the same folder, and we can reference them as the about is like a parent to these particular files inside it, called the child, right? So now if I want to move, maybe I'm in my index and I want to go to my reviews, right? Now what I just need to do is just to, for example, I'm in my about us page and I want to click on a link that will take me to review.html. so this will be the part that we'll use, right? Review.html. so that I don't need to add this, an example of a relative URL. Also I also can have an example of a child folder. Now a child folder, example of a child folder that we have is, looking at this example, so we can call this now index.html is the parent for this particular file, right? And this is a child, right? A child folder, because you can see that they're on the same levels, right? So we can see the child folder now. So if I want to go, let's say if I want to go from my index of my own page to the blog home page, now I'll use this particular URL. So I'll reference as blog, because first I have to come into this particular blog folder, then to access index.html, right, which is the home page for our blog, right? So it will have to be index.html. But another way you can do from to is that, let's say if I want to move from my blog home page back to my main home page, that will be have a relationship called grandchild relationship, because you can see this link is like a grandchild for this particular folder, right? Because it's inside blog, right? So if I want to go in that route now, it have to be, okay, sorry, for example, So I made a mistake there. So grandchild, the one that is grandchild is actually this post because it's in articles, right? So if I want to move for the grandchild, it have to have a href blog articles, right? Because first it has to come into blog, right? Then articles, right? Then post.html. So that's how I have the part blog articles post.html, right? Now you can also have the parent folder. So let's say I want to move into the parent folder. Now I have to use this particular symbol, right? So now the example of a moving into parent folder is, let's say I want to move from index, which is my own page, right? And I want to go back to my index, right? So first I have to leave this particular blog, right? Then come to this index, right? Which is it means I'm moving a one step, right? Now this will be a little bit technical, but when we look at the practical project we will understand more better. Also we can have a grand folder, so that means I'm moving from the post to back to my image, so it will have this particular link. So href, so that means I'm moving two steps. First it has to leave articles blog, then it index.html. So to have this reference, this double dot slash, we're saying that it's moving twice upward to index.html. So that's an example of file directory. So what I want us to do now is that I want us to apply the directory structure to the website now. So what I will do is that I'll come to my Visual Studio Code. Now you observe that I have in my reference folder, now I have the about us, the blog, the contact us, the index, the post, and the shop, right? So what I want to do is that I want to create folder for each file, right? So I'll come create new folder. So I'll call this about. Okay, I'll create new folder. I'll call this okay. I don't want to create a subfolder. So once you just click any portion here, just click contact us. So I'll just put contacts. Okay, so I've created that folder. So I want to create another folder also. I want to create I want to create a new folder, and I want to call this shop. Okay, all right. So I want to create a new folder. I want to call it images. Okay, I think that's all the folder that we have. So now what I want to do is that I want to place the shop. I want to place this shop inside the shop. This shop file I want to place in the shop folder, right? And you observe that it will ask me, are you sure you want to move shop.html into the shop folder, right? So I will click on this so that to move it automatically. So it has been moved there. So what I will do, since it's shop now, I will rename it as index, right? Which represents as the home page for our shop, right? Okay, so blog, right? Move into, okay, I've not created the blog. Okay, so let me create the blog folder. Okay, no blog. Let's click here, blog. Okay, so okay, inside blog I have another folder called articles. If you remember from the example that we have here, I have another inside blog I have index, right? And I have articles and I have posts. So let's try to do that settings, right? Okay, all right, so go back to my Visual Studio Code. So inside my blog folder I will click on new folder, right? So I will have articles, right? Okay, so right, can you see that I have blog, then observe the file paths, Renfix blog, then articles, right? So that's an example of file directory structuring. All right, so that means inside my posts now I want to put posts inside articles, right? So you can see that post is now inside articles, right? So okay, all right, so what I want to do next is for my contact us, I want to place the contact us file inside the contact us folder. So it's not in the contact us, so I will rename this as index.html. Okay, all right, so the about us, place it in the about us page. Okay, and I will rename it as index.html, right? Okay, all right, now it remains the blog. I'll place it in the blog, right? And I'll rename this as index.html. Okay, all right, now good. So this is now in line with what we did here. So what I want to do is that I want to pause this video and apply the file directory structured into your own personal project. Okay, I hope you have been able to do that. All right, so now let's just look at our file directory now. So let me come back to Renfix. Okay, I'll copy this particular syntax and let me go to my browser and see the relationship between our folders. Okay, so paste it here. Now do you observe that this, okay, let me mirror my screen so that you see what I'm trying to do. Okay, now before, this is what we have, right? We just have the parent directory, then okay, this is the previous one. We have the parent directory, we have the about, HTML blog, contact us, index.html, post.html, shop.html. Now if my server wants to relate to this, now it will open this particular. If I click on document and I click on this part with renfix / right, it will bring out this particular index of this particular folder out, right? But this is not a proper way to do it, because now all my files are exposed. So we said for security purpose and also to have a more defined structure, and that's why we able to do that. So for example, in my about us page, now I have my index, right? I said I have my index, which means for my about us home page, the blog, I have the articles. So inside my articles I have posts, right? And I have the index, which is the home page of my blog, right? Okay, so contact us page, good. So I have the images, right? I have the shop. Okay, inside my shop I have the index, and I have the main home page for my website. So that's an example of file directory structure. So this will come to the end of this class. So today's classes, I want you to try to make your files, your website file, makes it more arranged. So in the next video we're going to be in very soon, we're going to now link the pages together and redefine how our websites links are positioned. All right, thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and click on notification bell to receive more uploads from us. All right, love you, have a wonderful day. Bye bye.